gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages.
Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of the My Two Cents Podcast, presented by and hosted by G2. I am G2. This is episode 245 of the podcast. And first thing I would like to do, like every Sunday podcast, I would like to ask every single one of you, how are you doing? I'm hoping everyone had a good to great to even lovely week. If you didn't, I feel sorry for you. I'm hoping that this upcoming week will be better than your previous week. And if you did have a good to great to lovely week, I hope you guys are able to carry that momentum into this new week. I'm just going to be blunt with you guys right now. You guys already can tell from the topics right there in the episode description, you know what this episode is going to be about, because there's no way I can shy away from this. So before I get into that, I would like to tell people this, and I say this every Sunday too. I want people not to stress themselves out. I want people not to carry the weight so much of stressing out over something that you do not have any control over. Only take care of yourself and only take care of things you can't control. Okay? Don't add other people's problems or other people's issues onto your plate, because life is lifing and life is kicking everybody's tail in one form or another. So please do not put someone else's stress or someone else's problems onto your plate. You're only on this earth for your given time, and you don't know when you're going to be taken off of here. So I don't want people to kind of rush their time off this planet, because I've said this before. Stress is a silent killer. It can affect you physically and emotionally. So please, ladies and gentlemen, do not take on more stress than what you can. Only handle what you can handle, and please do not try to put more onto your plate. Okay? So with that said, now it's time for me to move on to your National Food Days of the Week. Today being September 14th, it is Cream-Filled Donut Day. September 15th will be National Cheese Toast Day, as well as Linguine Day, Double Cheeseburger Day, and Creme de Menthe Day. September 16th will be Guacamole Day, as well as Cinnamon Raisin Bread Day. September 17th will be Monte Cristo Day, as well as Apple Dumpling Day. September 18th will be Cheeseburger Day. September 19th, Butterscotch Pudding Day. And then to round us out, September 20th will be Pepperoni Pizza Day, as well as Rum Punch Day. So, with that being said, that has been your National Food Days of the Week. And now it's time for me to move off of that and move over into the condolence part of the show. And I have to give a condolence to a former Syracuse basketball player. The woman's name was Tiana Mangakahia. She died at the age of 30 after a long battle with cancer. NBC Sports would write up about it. They will say that her family wrote on her social media account, "We are heartbroken to share the passing of our beautiful Tiana Mangakahia. She left us on Thursday surrounded by family, friends, and lots of love. Tiana was a shining light who touched the lives of everyone she met with her kindness, strength, and warmth. She fought right till the very end, showing courage and grace beyond words." Tiana was diagnosed in June 2019 and went through 8 rounds of chemotherapy and 2 operations. She put her WNBA aspirations on hold in April of that year and chose to return to Syracuse for her final year of eligibility. The Syracuse Director of Athletics, John Wildhack, said in a statement, "Syracuse Athletics mourns the passing of Tiana. Tiana defined courage, inspiration, and passion. An All-American on the basketball court, she was an even better person off the court." Now, after her college career ended, she played professionally in Russia, France, and Australia. Unfortunately, a fresh cancer diagnosis forced her to take a break from playing and move into coaching, where she would become an assistant coach for the Sydney Flames women's basketball team. They will put out a statement saying, "We are deeply saddened to learn the passing of Tiana. Tiana inspired us all with her courage and resilience as she faced a second battle with breast cancer. Her return to the court in the L1 earlier this year with the Southern District Spartans was a powerful reflection of her strength, determination, and enduring love for the game. So, once again, rest in peace to Miss Tiana Mangakahia. I'm hoping I'm saying that right, man, because the last name is really bugging me, and that kind of irks me that I can't get people's last names right. But again, rest in peace to this woman. Hoping I didn't butcher the last name so bad, but again, rest in peace to her. And again, dealing with cancer so young, age of 30, and again, I feel that you haven't even hit your prime yet. You're about to hit your prime, because people like to say your prime's right around 35-ish, 38. That's like people's definitions when people think of their prime, but to not even hit that, that has to suck. And again, love and light to her family, friends, co-workers that knew this woman. And again, rest in peace to this woman. Now, with the condolences out of the way, I have to get on into the news topics. And before I get into the big news topic that happened over here in the United States, I have to talk about something that happened over in London yesterday. By the time you listen to this, there was an article that came out that said that more than 100,000 protesters marched through central London on Saturday carrying flags of England and Britain, scuffling with police in one of the UK's biggest right-wing demonstrations of modern times. This is coming from Reuters. They will say London's Metropolitan Police said the Unite the Kingdom march, organized by anti-immigrant activist Tommy Robinson, was attended by around 110,000 people who were kept apart from a stand-up to racism counter-protest attended by around 5,000 people. The police appeared to be taken by surprise by the size of the turnout, describing the rally as too big to fit into Whitehall, a wide street lined with government buildings on the approved route of the march. Police trying to prevent protesters veering from the route face unacceptable violence, the force said, describing officers being kicked and punched and facing hurled bottles, flares, and other projectiles. 9 arrests have been made so far, and many more will likely follow, the force added in a statement issued while police continue to face aggression in some locations. The march brought a accumulation to a highly charged summer in Britain that has seen protests staged outside hotels housing migrants. So it seems to me that there's people over there in England, or at least in Britain, that they're having the exact same problem that I feel the US has been having. It seems that people don't want migrants over into their country like that. And again, America's tagline, I know our tagline is, hey, this is the land of the free, home of the brave. You come here, you get yourself up by your bootstraps, and you try to live the American dream. And I've said this even when I was in college. If America doesn't want to have a whole migrants problem that they're saying that we do, you got to change your tagline. You got to change your marketing, because America, we're one of the best when it comes down to marketing. It makes people believe that you can become anything that you want to become when you come over to this land from another country. You know what I mean? And then you get into a lot of different situations. So if America doesn't want to deal with migrants, again, I've always stated you probably want to change your slogan, your tagline here. But over there in England, I don't know how it is over there. I never went over to England. I don't know. So looking at this article, it makes me go back to what I said last Sunday. And last Sunday I talked about a stabbing that happened in Canada. And I talked about how in Canada you really don't hear much about anything. That kind of like the silent people, our northern neighbors. And I've said it even last Sunday, how over here in America, we always are labeled as the crazy Americans. And again, we are fairly labeled that because a lot of things that some Americans do over here is really crazy. But it is nice as an American to see other countries go through certain things. And I'm not trying to say that in a completely bad way, but it just puts my mind back at ease. Not everything is always great on the other side. What's that old slogan? They like to say, the grass ain't always greener on the other side, because you might complain about something that's happening here, but if you go over to somewhere else, they might have it completely worse. And it just seems that, again, I don't know how it is over there in England or Great Britain, but just to see that they also have a immigrant problem as they're saying that we do over here, it just proves that America, we don't have it as bad, we don't have it as bad as the news kind of make it sounds every time they put it out there with the whole migrant and politics talk and all that kind of crap. And it just seems, again, it's just not us that's dealing with this. It seems that other countries are dealing with it as well. So that was just something I wanted to bring out right there. And again, I have no problem with people coming over into America. I really don't. Come on over here. It is what it is. It's been that way since I was a kid. And that's just the way I've been, that's the way my brain's wired. I don't have a problem with people coming over here. I have a problem with people trying to kick them out when, good and well that they were born here and, people in other conditions that come over here to make a better life, you're trying to send them back into that crappy life that they had beforehand. I'm not cool with that. So again, that's the reason why I'm cool with the immigrants or migrants or aliens, as they used to call them, being over here. But that's a different story for a different day. But apparently England as well is dealing with this problem as well. I just wanted to bring that up just as an easy way to kind of go into the next thing, which was the biggest news topic that came up into the American news cycle this week. And it landed literally on Wednesday. And it's the whole Charlie Kirk thing. Now, let me preference this, because I always got to put out a message before I talk about Donald Trump, and I'm going to do that here with Charlie Kirk here, because he was a big political news pundit that I did not know anything about this man. So before I get into that, let me put this message out here. What you're about to hear is the thoughts and opinion of G2. This podcast is not a Democratic or Republican-based podcast. I want to make that perfectly clear. I have no ideologies to any political party, not a single one. Any thoughts that I have on politics is specifically mine, particularly mine, nobody else. Understand? So anything that you hear from me on this podcast when it comes out to quote-unquote politics, it is not politically driven by any party. It only comes from my mouth, my thoughts, G2, all right? And I always do that because, again, I don't want this podcast to be riddled as, oh, this is the political podcast for Republicans, Democrats. No, I'm not with all that. So let me get right into this. Charlie Kirk, from my understanding, because I've seen people talk about who Charlie Kirk was ever since this assassination, the shooting, the murder of Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was a political news pundit. Well, can't even really say news pundit because I don't believe he was on the news like that, but he was a political pundit. He was a person that talked about politics. He talked about his ideology of things, and people will say he leaned more into the Republican base. And he was the co-founder of Turning Point USA, which, again, from my understanding, that is the group that is supposed to bring young individuals in and bring them under the mindset of, again, Republican mindset. Okay? So he did that. Cool, whatever. He had all these different debates with people online, on stages, and he went to Utah this past week. And he went to a college in Utah. He was debating people, as he would do, and he got shot in the neck. So when that incident happened, you know what happens next. We start getting news coverage of Charlie Kirk being shot in the neck. People at first didn't know whether he was going to live or not. Ultimately, we find out that he passes away from the shot in the neck. Now, Wednesday night, they tried to find the person, couldn't find him. Thursday night, couldn't find him. Friday, they ended up finding the alleged shooting suspect right now. And I have to say alleged because the person has to go through court and all that stuff, right? The man's name is Tyler Robinson. He has been arrested and booked for aggravated murder and weapons charges according to the probable cause affidavit. Robinson has been booked on aggravated murder, felony discharge of a firearm causing serious bodily injury, and obstruction of justice. These are all state charges. Now, it would be said that he was identified and turned in with help of a minister and a member of the U.S. Marshals. The Utah governor later confirmed it was Robinson's own father who told a family friend that he suspected his son was the shooter, who proceeded to alert authorities to this information, and they ended up nabbing Robinson. Now, here's where we're about to get into my opinions on things. I have no opinions on Charlie Kirk. I really don't, because I didn't know who Mans was at all. I'm not trying to say that to lie to you guys. I'm not trying to say that to do anything other than just tell you guys my opinions and just my thoughts on this thing. I had no idea who Charlie Kirk was at all. I probably seen Homeboy's face probably like a legit handful of times. I know Candace Owens more than I know who Charlie Kirk is. All right. I've seen like a little clip of him in a debate, like, cause there's a YouTube video where you'll get one person debating a full room of other people. And there was one clip that had him debating a black woman, and you see him make a smile to the woman, and she makes a insult about his smile, saying that he looks creepy. And once I saw the photo of him, I'm like, oh yeah, that's the dude from that clip. That's the only way how I remember who Charlie Kirk was, or at least saying that I know who this dude is. But other than that, I had no idea who this guy was at all. But as everything usually happens whenever someone dies, people start rolling out the receipts about what happened or who this man was, what he did, all these type of things. Now, ultimately, as one would have it, when someone passes, you're going to have people that will try to make this person into a saint. And you will have people that will say, I'm not going to feel sorry about this person passing because of what they did on this planet, and basically say that they were the opposite of the sainthood that you guys are trying to put this person on a pedestal. Because you're trying to see, because that's what usually happens, especially with someone in the entertainment world. And I call politics entertainment because it's nothing but entertainment. The politicians, the political analysts, the political commentators, I'm just saying this as my own thought process and my own idea. They're all playing a game in front of everybody's faces. Yes, they might believe some of what they say, but I don't believe a person believes completely everything what they say. Because if they did, you would not catch the Republican and Democrats literally sitting with one another, walking beside one another, or even have like little chats with one another on vacations. As you hear from time to time, some of these politicians say, whether it be Republican talking about a Democrat in public, or on an interview saying that, yeah, I've talked to this person when I was on vacation doing this and doing that. Yes, I might not like the person or his views, but I'm able to chat with him like that. For the way that America plays politics so much, it makes it really go hard, die hard on politics. It makes it seem that you really got to be one way or the other whenever you talk about politics. And if you're not on that side of that person, it makes it seem like you're the enemy. I can't talk to you. I hate you. That is how it's been, or has been made to feel for the last, this recent timing. I mean, when I was a kid during the Obama era, I don't remember none of that. Probably because I was, what Obama ran in, that was 2008. So by 2008, I was 12. So 12 years old, I don't remember that, but I feel this really started to kick in whenever we got, and I hate to even say Donald Trump's name like that, but I feel like we got in this way whenever Donald Trump came into play. It came into play and he started doing or running the political race. And it just seems that we have been in that, you're either on my side or you're not, you're the enemy, and it just feels that way. So if you are a political pundit, they found a way to make money quick, easy. because you know how to get people to be on your side. You know how to look at that field, examine that field, feed them what they want to be fed, and make money off of that. You just got to be able to catch them hook, line, and sinker like a fisherman. And again, it seems to me that Charlie Kirk was able to do that. So it is what it is with that. And again, I'm going to say this right now. I have nothing to say about Manslaughter at all for that. He did what he did because he did it for political gain. Well, not even political gain, for monetary gain. He did it for monetary gain. And that's what the world is. The world is all money driven. It's not really morality driven like that. Yes, people should have morals. People should be able to look themselves in the face and like what they see, or be able to go to bed with a clear conscience. That's what should be the most important thing in this world. But not really. That stuff doesn't pay your bills like that. That stuff doesn't give you the life that you want monetarily wise. That will only help you on an inner peace whenever you're like an old man, old woman, saying if you're about to go out of this planet and say, you know what? I never did this to harm anybody. I never did this to make myself feel a way that harmed other individuals. That's the only time the morality piece kicks in, when you're old. Other than that, people will do anything they got to do to make money. And again, political pundits, they do that. Political pundits do what they got to do to make money. So Charlie Kirk, he probably said a lot of things that I don't know if he believed or not. But here's where we get to the main part of this. When you say things online, or when you say things in the public, in these political forums or just talking forums in which someone would be a speaker, right? If you say something that is going to cause an outrage, you got to know that's going to come back to bite you in the ass whenever you leave off this planet. There has been multiple receipts about Charlie Kirk saying things against, I'm going to say, the black community, or his own version of his truths about the black community. And again, he's a political pundit. I feel that he was doing that because of, again, making money, and you're playing real easy to the Republican side of things by saying certain things that the Republican Party or the Republican base believes in about black folks. And again, I don't know Charlie Kirk. I don't know if he really believed that type of stuff or not. But when you say those type of things, and you happen to die in the fashion that you did die, you have to know people that are either allies of the black community themselves, or other communities that you have talked badly about, are going to not feel sad about you passing. And I saw that a lot. I saw a lot of people in the black community. I saw a lot of people in that were allies of the black community, whether you were white, Hispanic, Asian, anything else. Or I saw people that were of a community that he talked bad about. They all did not feel sad about his passing. They didn't. You would get people obviously saying, how dare you feel this way? How dare you do this? This man just passed. His wife and his children no longer have a husband or a father, all this type of stuff. And again, that's valid. They no longer have a husband or father. However, you cannot discredit the feelings of those other individuals of what your man said while he was living on this planet, and the potential impact that he probably did have or could have had on those people that he was talking down about. I'm going to put this in an easy example for everyone. I want people to stop right now and think about this example I'm about to give you, and give me your honest to God reaction. Whether you're in a group with people or you're around other individuals, I want you to ask someone this question. With all the recent incidences that we know of Kanye West, how would you feel if Kanye West passed away? Now, if you're a black person, it's going to be complicated for us, because you got certain people that like Kanye West for his music abilities, and they'll feel bad that the music creative genius that he was passed away. You got certain people in the black community that will say, you know what? he said that racism was a choice. I don't have no feelings towards him, but he did make slaps. You have differences of opinions throughout the black community. But in the Jewish community, who we have known that Kanye West has talking bad about the Jewish community, I'm pretty sure I can bet my finger, whether it be middle finger, thumb, whatever, I could probably bet a good 90% of that base is probably going to say good riddance. Good riddance to Kanye West. And you know the difference with this would be here? Not even the difference. The black community will say, you know what? The Jewish people got that. Kanye West, he did say some crazy things about them. So you know what? They can have that. They can say what they want to say about Kanye West being gone. We would just always know that he was our musical genius. He was the guy that created music, slaps that we liked, and we'll always have his music. But black people as a whole, I feel that a good portion of us will not go after the Jewish people like that. As you've seen people of the Republican side go after people that have said certain things about Charlie Kirk. And I'm saying that because you have gotten to see now people on social media post things about them either being fired from their job or they're being suspended without pay from their job, all because of them either supporting the demise of Charlie Kirk or them not supporting the demise of Charlie Kirk and actually condemning the people that are supporting the demise of Charlie Kirk. You are just seeing a running gambit of things happening right now on the internet when it comes down to this Charlie Kirk thing and just the public reaction. And I want to say this right now because I was listening to the Joe Budden podcast and I was listening to Mark Lamont Hill and he was talking about this thing being a political violence, political murder, assassination, whatever. And I'm not certain if one of them asked how this thing is political or not, because the shooter, they're saying that the shooter comes from a house of Republicans. His family, mother and father are Republican. Like, that is Republican. Utah's a Republican state. The city's Republican. Like, this is not a political assassination. Let me tell you how this is a political assassination by my thoughts. He was at a political rally at a college, and he's a political pundit. And he got shot. And when you're at a rally or a speaking engagement and you happen to get shot, people will say that as a political thing because you would think if you're at a rally and you're the speaker at this rally and someone shoots you, the shooter obviously has to be opposed to what you are promoting, to what you are saying. So that's how that is a political murder, a political act of crime, or whatever this thing is with political. And if Charlie Kirk was just to walk, let's say just taking a walk, taking a stroll with his dogs or just by himself or with his wife and children, and a guy just happened to run up on him and then shoot him, they would just say this is a murder. They wouldn't say anything about this being a political act of violence. People would still try to tie that into it. More specifically, Fox News would try to say this is a political act of violence. No, that would not be a political act of violence because he was not doing anything political at that time. He was just walking with his dogs, wife, kids. But since he was at a rally, a college rally, again, being a public speaker, being a political pundit, and he was debating people of their beliefs. That's how this is a political crime. That's just how they're making this thing a political crime. So I just had to get that off of my head because that was something that was rumbling as I was constantly mulling this thing over. But ultimately, here's the thing. If you are a political speaker, a political pundit, or even backtrack that, if you are on the internet and you happen to talk in front of a camera, talk on a microphone the way that I'm doing, anything like that, you have to be careful of what you say. Because the universe is the universe. And whether you know it or not, nobody, and I mean nobody, becomes or gets unscathed by the universe. You have to be careful what you say, even if you're not on video or talking on the microphone. You could be talking to someone out here in this world. You have to be careful what you say. Because again, the universe is the universe, and nobody gets to become unscathed. I have seen a news clip of Charlie Kirk, and I believe he's on a panel or just talking into the crowd, and it was about gun violence.
I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal. It is rational.
So that was just a little news clip that circulated online. Once again, of Charlie Kirk's demise, people brought that back up. And again, we've been constantly hearing people talk about gun violence and how it's been taking people out. And I have to say this, there was a school shooting as well that happened on the exact same day that Charlie Kirk happened to pass away, right? And it was a Colorado school shooting. It was a 16-year-old. The 16-year-old shot two students, one inside the building, one outside the building, and he ultimately ended up turning the gun on himself, right? You just heard Charlie Kirk say that, unfortunately, he would start off by saying, unfortunately, he says that for people to keep their Second Amendments, there has to be some gun violence happening. Because with that gun violence happening, you get to keep your Second Amendments, which is the right to bear arms, so you can protect your other amendments. Now, yeah, cool. I've stated it before on past episodes, and I've stated it constantly. If you want to keep guns, you go ahead and do that, but I don't think you should be able to keep the big ones. You know what I mean? Those military style, the AKs, the shotguns, all that type of stuff, because I don't think you personally need them inside your house. A nice little pistol in your house, a nice little handgun. I think you should be able to keep that, but keep it up in a nice, safe, locked away situation. But my thing is, you have to be careful what you say out here. You have to, because in that, he just made it okay for gun violence to technically happen as long as people get to keep their right to bear arms. And how did Charlie Kirk end up dying? He got shot by a gun in the neck. And I said to my brother this, someone shooting him in the neck, that was symbolic. Because when you're in an argument with someone and you can't stand them talking anymore, you punch them in their throat. That means you are shutting down their ability to talk. Because if you punch someone in the throat, you're stopping them from breathing, meaning they can't talk. That means you're shutting them up. Someone, or shall we say right here, again, the alleged shooter, Tyler Robinson, he did that. And the only thing I can think of, that was symbolism to shut him up for good. Because with that type of accuracy, he could have went for his head right in the middle of his forehead. He could have went for the chest piece. I mean, he could have went for anything, but he went directly for the neck. That's symbolic. Again, that's just me probably reaching with things, but no. That's just my thought on that one, with that one personally. But you have to be careful, man. You got to be careful saying things out here. You got to. Because this is ridiculous. Am I sad about what happened to this man? Not necessarily, because I'm not going to lose no sleep about it. Again, I didn't know who he was before this, and more than likely within another 2 weeks, there'll be another big thing to happen that'll make me forget about all this, but it's just not the greatest thing to happen. You know what I mean? I've stated this before. If you have a problem with someone, you don't like their belief, you can talk with them. You can have those debates. I've said that whenever they were having the protests over in all these different colleges and universities during the whole Israel and Palestine and Gaza stuff. I've said there needs to be a thing set up for people to have debates, not people threatening other people, people disrupting other peaceful protests or anything like that. No, have a thing set up for people to debate so you can at least hear one another out. I've always stand on that. So for this man to get shot over his own beliefs, it's not the best thing, but when you read the receipts and read what he believed in, I don't think it's right for you guys to criticize and condemn people that are not shedding a tear about this man's demise. That's all I got to say about that for that piece. The final piece I will say before I get off this Charlie Kirk thing is that I don't want to see people trying to attack black people, other minorities or allies of the black people for this. Because this, at first, people thought it was someone of the black community or someone that was probably gay, trans, LGBTQ, Hispanic, Muslim. That's what they thought initially. But when you find out it was a white dude, all the chatter, all the whole, we're going to get violence, all that type of stuff, that kind of stuff kind of did simmer down. I don't want to see people try to attack black people for this. I don't want to see them attack minorities for this. I don't want to see them attack people that are LGBTQ for this. This is nothing but white on white crime. And it's white male on white male crime. So that means white males, it's time for you guys to have those uncomfortable conversations in your own little circles to figure out what is going on in y'all bubble before you guys trying to come out and attack other people. You guys need to figure out what's going on in y'all bubble for real. That's all I got to say about that. So again, that's just my opinion on the whole Charlie Kirk thing. Say what you will, do what you want. I will say this though too. And it's not about Charlie Kirk. It's about the entities outside of it. Because New York Yankees, before they played their game, they had a Charlie Kirk photo up there with remembrance of Charlie Kirk. And I believe they had people do a whole moment of silence there. That was awkward to me. Because when I looked up where Charlie Kirk was born, he was born in Illinois. And I thought, why is New York Yankees doing that? That's weird. Okay. And then you got flags coming down and being at half mast, which I really don't ever pay attention to the whole situation with the flags being at half mast or being all the way up. I never pay attention to any of that. It wasn't until someone that I'm close to asked me, why is the flags at half mast? And I said, what? She said, the flags, they're at half mast. Why are they like that? And I said, I don't know. And then I had to look at what putting the flag at half mast was, and that's always for showing respect for someone. And I thought, oh, so they did that for Charlie Kirk. Oh, that's weird. Because Charlie Kirk wasn't a governor, he wasn't a senator, he wasn't a congressman, he wasn't a political candidate, he was only a political pundit. So why are we putting the flag at half mast? Why are we putting this man's face on the New York Yankees Titantron and telling people to have a moment of silence for that? Why did I see a video over there in Europe? There was a man trying to, and again, I don't know the European government, how they work their magic. He was trying to get a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk over there. when Charlie Kirk is American, I'm pretty sure he probably did some work based off over on the European side, which again, I don't know. But you're trying to have a pundit, a political pundit, not someone that was working in office, none of it, as this thing. I can't wrap my brain around it. We shouldn't do it. We shouldn't. He is not that. It ain't that, people. It's not. I don't care who might be offended by that, but no. What happened to him is what happened to him. And again, you have your opinions on that, but damn it, no. That, nah. He was not Martin Luther King. He was not trying to bring unity and people together and all that type of stuff. No. Yes, he had debates with other individuals. But again, if you are reading the receipts that people are bringing out, it was controversial. It was not the imagery or messaging of unity. It wasn't that. That's why I have to bring that up. That wasn't that for this. So that's the one quirk that I have about this. Like, I don't like that. And I wish that all the other outside big entities wouldn't have done that. But again, they probably did it because of Big T in office, Donald Trump. But again, hey man, probably did, probably not. Who's to say? But a wife is without her husband, children without their fathers. And again, it is what it is with that. So, to end this Charlie Kirk topic or discussion, if you will, I'm going to have Cameron basically explain to the whole Republicans what it is.
Hey, niggas get shot every day, B. You be aight, nigga. You tough, right?
There you go. So, with that being said, is there anything else that really happened over on the American side here? Because again, that whole Charlie Kirk thing really took up a lot of news this week in America. I'm just going to say this about Barnes & Noble. Barnes & Noble has announced that they are opening up 30 more stores before the end of 2025. So, I mean, it allows you to get more books. It allows people to read more. And I think people need to read a lot more. Matter of fact, I think people need to get off of the internet like that. I think certain people don't know how to really control themselves on the internet like this. So go to your Barnes & Noble, pick up a book. It could be a nonfiction, fiction book. It could be a how-to book. It could be a comic book. It can just be any type of book. But pick up a book and start reading, fam. Please do so. For all of you that spend your time on the internet just looking for ways or looking for things to rile you up, go out there, go to your Barnes & Nobles and pick up a book and read something. Is there anything else that happened? Because man, I'm not happy with Charlie Kirk being the only thing I really talked about. And I talked about that for a good chunk of time on today's episode. I'm not happy with it because I don't believe I've ever talked about Charlie Kirk on this freaking podcast, ever. I think throughout my whole time of doing this, and I've almost been doing this for, 6 years now. Almost 6 years I've been doing this, and I don't believe I talked about Charlie Kirk ever. I've talked about Trump, I've talked about Candace Owens, I've talked about other political people or political pundits. I've talked about them, but I don't think I've ever talked about this guy. And the only time I ever talked about him was literally in his passing and how people talked about him and how the world is the world is viewing this man. I'm hoping next week will be better. I'm hoping next week will give me something to bring back to you guys to at least talk about. I'll at least talk about this in an entertainment factor. Last night was, Canelo and Crawford. And at the time I'm recording this fight hasn't happened yet. I plan on at least trying to watch it. So by the time this episode is out, you guys have already known who the winner is. So I'm hoping that boxing fight is at least good. I will say that I did watch Denzel's movie that he has on Apple TV. I believe it's The Highest to Low. And it's an alright movie. I think with Denzel Washington, and he's already announced that he only got a limited amount of movies to do left before he retires. I think he wanted to get this one with Spike Lee out of the way because him and Spike have a storied career. They've done countless of films with one another, and I think Denzel just wanted to knock one more out for Spike Lee because, again, those two are boys. But The Highest of Lows, it is on Apple TV. You can watch it. It's alright. It's not one of Denzel's best movies, but it's cool. Anything else I would like to say? Nah, that's about it. So, with that said, it is now time for me to get you guys out of here. I would like to thank all the podcasting sites for having me on here. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, iHeart, all the other podcasting sites out there that you're listening to me on. I would like to thank them because without them, I want to be able to get this podcast out to you guys, to downloaders, listeners. So I'd like to thank them, but I'd also like to thank you guys, the downloaders and listeners, for taking the time out your day to download this podcast and listen to me just talk about it, talk about any and everything that I talk about. And I'm hoping that you guys at least enjoyed what I said today. And I hope you guys took something out of that, whether it be you hate me or you at least see what I'm talking about or you at least agree with what I said. I hope you guys took something out of this and talk to people about it. Just have conversations with people, because this is what this podcast is really about. Yes, it's about me getting thoughts and opinions off of my brain, which would be swirling if I didn't. But this podcast is out here to help people talk to other individuals. You listen to this, I hope you get something insightful out of this, bring it up to someone and just talk to them about what you hear. That's what this podcast is really about. And again, I hope you guys did enjoy it. I hope you guys come back to this podcast and listen to me again. But we'll wait and see, right? So with that said, always remember,
I love you, I love you, I love you. I love you, I love you, I love you.
that is not a gimmick. I truly do love every single one of you guys. I appreciate everybody for downloading the pod, whether you're in the States or outside of the States. I appreciate it so very, very much because I'm able to see that, and it's just so cool to see when this podcast has reached outside of the United States and to reach other countries. It's nice to see that. And hopefully, as this year's wrapping up, the numbers continue to go up. We continue to reach other countries, and other people will just find this podcast and enjoy it as well as you guys have. So with this current landscape of this week coming up, Wednesday, I'll be back with another podcast episode for you guys, the usual midweek breakdown. Thursday, I have another wrestling podcast for you guys, my Let's Have a Chat series podcast right there. Saturday, Wrestling Highlights of the Week will be up there for you guys. Next Sunday, the continued news edition of the My Two Cents podcast episode there. And the Monday after that, you guys will be getting a wrestling review coming out of me. And that's from WWE and AEW, their pay-per-views that's happening this upcoming Saturday. So you'll get a wrestling review from me that following Monday on that. So I believe that's everything that's happening within this coming week. And I just want to give you guys that update because if anything changes, I'll probably let you guys know on one of those episodes as it's leading up to something. So with that said, oh yes, please, ladies and gentlemen, do not be dickheads to one another. Please be courteous. Please be kind. Please try to be as well mannered and civilized as you can be. Okay? Because you don't know what people are dealing with. You don't know what type of problems or issues someone is dealing with, because everyone's dealing with something. And you being a dickhead to them can change the course of the rest of their day, or you being a nice, kind human being can really change the course of the rest of their day, and they actually could be kind to someone else, which could set off a chain effect of everybody just trying to at least be kind to each other. You know what I mean? So try to be the nice, kind force out there in life. So now, with that being said, this has been your My Two Cents podcast, presented by and hosted by G2. He is I and I am him. This isn't goodbye. This is until you hear from the sweet sounding voice again. And also, if you feel down and out and you feel like you have no more chances and you feel like you want to self-transition, please, for the love of God, don't do that. Please call up the National Suicide Hotline. The numbers in the episode description. And for the people that don't look at the episode descriptions, do that, because the number is always in there. I believe almost every time I drop an episode, I always try to put the number down there, because I do want people to continue to live. I want people to find that light in this darkness of a world that we're living in. So please just try to keep some positivity in your life and just try to hold out as best as you can, okay? So now, with that all being said, this is goodbye. This is until you hear from the sweet sounding voice again. And with that being said, Kanye, can you please take these people home?
I'm tired, you tired, Jesus wept.